Welcome to Product Update. In this issue, we have the opportunity to look at the 1994 changes that have occurred to the Axial-Flow combine. And with us to help understand those changes is our product expert, Jim Minihan. Jim, now as I understand, some of those changes actually took place in late 1993.
Yes, it did, Jeff. And as we go through our 1994 enhancements, I'll mention those items.
Okay, terrific. Where do we head first?
Let's go up in front of the rotor and we'll talk about the impeller wear bar or stiffener plate. Jeff, one of the first items we're going to talk about is the impeller wear bar or stiffener that's on the face of the impeller blade. The material makeup of this piece has been changed to improve its wear characteristics. Thickness nor its shape were changed along with this improvement.
So something as simple as a material change will actually yield our customers improved wear life on the leading edge of that impeller blade.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other things that have changed up in this area?
Yes, Jeff. The bolts holding the transition cone to the rotor cage have been changed because we've seen in the past that the heads will wear off. This is a bolt that's run about 1,300 hours.
And it's just about gone.
If the head should wear off, now the bolt falls free.
Ooh.
And to overcome this wear, we have tungsten carbide treated the head of our bolts in this seam area to improve their wear life. To give you an example, what we could expect is here is a partner bolt that accompanied the first bolt in the field after 1,300 hours.
Okay, now these two bolts ran in the same machine?
Same machine.
Same number of hours?
Yes, sir.
This one has the tungsten carbide treatment. This one does not, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there is a tremendous amount of difference in wear there. Looks like that will, without question, improve the wear life in that area. Anything else up in this area while we're talking, Jim?
Not to mention the seam bolts that hold the two halves of the rotor cage together. The first 6 of those bolts have also been treated with this tungsten carbide.
Terrific. Okay, anything else?
No? Let's go around the other side of the machine and we'll talk about our transmission and final drives on the 1644s.
Okay.
Jeff, from here on the left-hand side of the combine, I'm able to show you changes to the final drive, main axle, brakes, and transmission that occurred on the 1644.
What kind of changes have we made there?
These changes were to upgrade the chassis on the 1644 so it'll be similar to the 1666.
Okay, so now we have the 1644 components similar to the 1666. As a customer or salesman, I'm going to ask why. Why did we make those changes in the first place?
The reason we had to make this change is that we saw extra torsion loads coming into the 1644 chassis.
Which would probably mean some increased workability somewhere along the line. Now, were there any other changes required because of that increased torsional load?
Yes. During 1993, we added extra stiffeners to the main axle on the 1666, and this same improvement was brought forward to the 1644 first builds in 1994.
So to clarify, those changes took place as running changes to the 1666s during 1993. The 1644s will have those changes made as first built in 1994.
That's correct.
Any other changes up in this area while we're here?
Yes, we have a change to our concave control linkage and a separator bar change on the specialty rotor.
Okay, let's get those doors off there so we can see them a little better.
Okay. A further change to the rotor cage area is the concave control linkage. Front and rear has been shortened 3/8 of an inch on the 1688s only to ensure that as the rasp bars wear on the rotor that we can get proper concave movement towards the rotor and get zero clearance. This is especially true when we're in small grains, especially hard threshing wheats.
Okay. Now what does that do for me as a customer?
You as a customer, as your machine begins to get time on it, the window of adjustment has been moved closer to the rotor. We haven't increased or decreased this movement, we've just moved the linkage so that the concave can be placed closer to the rotor. Again, especially in hard threshing cereal crops, especially wheats.
Great.
A further change to the rotor cage area is the separator bars on the specialty rotor for the 1644, 66, and 88 combines has been shortened 1/8 of an inch to ensure that The concave hits the rasp bar when we go into adjust for a zero position. If we're not able to do that properly, we can have problems in hard threshing wheats. A further change for 1994 is this hammer strap on our shaker drive system has been shimmed outward such that we can get proper alignment of our shaker drive pitman arm to come down into this yoke. This improves our bushing life as well as the bearing that's on the cam of the shaker drive arm.
Okay, all the changes you've talked about up in this area seem to be focused on the wheat and the small grain crops. Are there changes up in this area for any other crop types?
Yes, the rice rotors for 1994 will have spiked rasp bars on the forward portion. Previous rotors only had spiked rasp bars in the back half. And so for 1994, the rice rotors will have spikes throughout the rotor except in the rear where the helical kickers are still attached on all standard rice rotors.
Okay. Now, as a customer, what does that really do for me? How does it help me?
You as a customer, with the spikes up front, we've seen where it takes less horsepower to do the same job. Our head loss, meaning the kernel is still stuck to the straw, is less and we have better separation, as well as we've seen where the kernel damage is less.
So I'm taking more crop to the grain elevator.
Sir. Your turnout on rice will be much better.
Okay, Jim, let me recap if I can. We've talked about some major changes in the chassis area up here. We've talked about some major changes up in the rotor area. Now, are there any other changes in this area before we move on?
No, Jeff. There's still further enhancements to talk about our machines, and let's go discuss the straw spreaders.
Jim, what have we really got here with these straw spreaders set at different heights like this?
What we're showing you is on the left is our standard straw spreading system that's on our 94 combines and older units. On the right-hand side is our new chaff straw spreading system, which has larger discs, and both discs are lowered the same amount, about 8 inches below our standard straw spreading system.
Okay. Why would I want to make this change?
Jeff, you'd want to make this change to assist you in your trash management farming so that you get a nice spread of trash, or the straw and chaff will be spread in unison across the width of cuts behind the machine.
Okay, so you're saying both straw and chaff.
That's right.
It would appear from what I see anyway, Jim, it's going to take more than just these couple of pieces to make that change. Can you give us an idea what those are?
Yes, Jeff. One of those major parts is going to be a deflector shield coming off the back of the chaff sieve and a new deflector door, which is to ensure that the chaff and straw are delivered to this straw spreader so that we get a nice uniform spread, the width of cut of our chaff and straw.
Okay, so with that new door assembly, it's going to dump the chaff and straw directly onto the spreader so that you get that better distribution.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, are there other sheet metal components that go into this?
Yes. As I've mentioned before, we get a new chaff or sieve deflector, a new dribble sheet door assembly with larger chaff and straw spreader discs, longer side curtains, a new rear hood deflector and vertical straw deflector to ensure proper placement of straw onto the straw spreaders, with longer drive shafts and couplers.
Jim, it would seem to me that with this larger disc, it's going to take more effort to drive this whole system. Have any of the drive components been changed or made heavier?
Yes, we've had to change the drive shaft support assembly here, as well as the bearing flangettes. And this is standard on our 1994 machines and is part of the kit program for our older machines.
Okay. Now, Jim, these are not the only components in this entire drive system. Are there other pieces that have been made heavier as well?
Yes, and outside of the kit, on the right-hand side of the machine, is our straw spreader drive pulley, which in 1994 has been made heavier, and we've gone to a riveted assembly, where previously we had a spot welded assembly pulley.
Jim, can I put this kit on any machine out in the field?
No, Jeff, this new chaff straw spreader kit can only be put on machines that have the long cleaning system.
Any other changes back in this area?
No, Jeff. There's a few items up on the engine compartment and our fuel systems that we need to take a look at. On the way by, let's take a look at our new filter that we're introducing in January of 1994. The cap is held in place by 3 clips. We no longer have wing nuts holding the cap and our inner filters in place.
Oh, okay. So the maintenance becomes a simple matter of unclipping
That's right.
these 3 clips.
That's right.
And then, of course, I'm going to set this off. I no longer have to deal with the big wing nut here.
Correct.
Then the outer filter slides out. Then the inner filter, again, no wing nut, slides out and off. And then all I have to do is put everything back. Inner filter, outer filter, again, no wing nuts. This is simple. And then just clip everything back in place with the
Clip it
inside.
back together.
Great.
Improve serviceability.
Yes.
Jeff, while we're up here in the engine service deck, let's take a moment and look at our optional cold weather start kit. One of the parts is a heating element that goes in place of this engine soft plug. This element is 110 and we can plug it into any outlet. A second component of that is the ether start solenoid.
Jim, I'm going to ask you a question here. Can I, as a dealer, install this at my location,
Yes, you can.
or it can be installed at the plant?
Yes. The dealers and customers have asked us to put it on at the plant because it's so much easier for us to do it when the engine's sitting down on an assembly line.
Where to next?
Jeff, let's go up and look at the improvements we made inside the hydraulic reservoir. In August of 1993, we added a screen to the outlet fitting going to our hydraulic system. The reason we put the screen inside the reservoir is for increased protection to the hydraulic system. Before we go down and look at our last item, I want to show you our unloading auger grain saver. This is new for 1994. This assembly bolts on the underside of our unloading auger out near the opening. It is spring-loaded to keep the door closed in the off mode. As the unloading auger is swung out to the truck or wagon and we turn the system on, the load of grain will activate the door, stretching the springs, door opens, grain comes out. If the unloading auger runs empty of grain or is shut off, the springs will close the door, trapping any grain that may be left in this area. Also, as the unloading auger comes from the extended position, its angle is going to decrease, and there may be slight rotation of the auger. And if there's any grain movement there, this door is going to trap it.
Okay. That's interesting. So basically what you're saying, when we're kind of in a tilted up position, as we come flat, we used to lose grain as it come around. Now with this door here, it's going to come closed, and that grain isn't going to dribble out.
That's right.
Interesting. Okay. Where to now?
Let's go down and look at our fuel pump for the 1644s and 1666 combines. Jeff, let's stop here and take a second and look at the electric fuel lift pump that we've added to the 1644 and 66 combines.
Okay, this is obviously new for 1994.
Yes.
As a customer, I'm going to ask you, why have you added it? What's it doing for me?
This fuel pump is ensuring that we get full fuel delivery to the injection pump system and full horsepower out of our engines.
Okay. Jim, we have looked at a lot in this issue. Is there anything we've missed? Anything else we ought to be looking at?
That's about it, Jeff.
Okay, terrific. Jim, thanks for walking us through all these product changes for 1994. And we'll see you next time on Product Update.